Hello, lovers. Welcome to the Butterfly Effect podcast, hosted by myself, Lauren Amy. This is for those who are ready to take up space, who are living a soft life loudly, and are ready to savor the sweetness in each moment. Here we're going to embrace transformation, the beauty of the in-between, and the magic of becoming. So pull up a seat and listen in, because life is delicious and it's about goddamn time we eat it up. All right, you bunch of stunners. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Happy Wellness Wednesday. If you are not listening on a Wednesday, happy whatever day it is. I hope you're having a good one so far. Welcome back to the Butterfly Effect podcast. All right, just full disclosure, I'm recording this literally horizontal on my sofa, having just ate a whole pack of mini sausage rolls. I am in luteal phase right now, and come on, girlies, we know that luteal phase is just something else. I feel like the majority of the time, I feel like I can be like a bit of a boss babe. I feel like I can spit fire, I can slay dragons, I'm on my shit, I've got it together. And then luteal phase rolls around, and I'm just like, wow, I can't live life. I'm doing everything wrong. Wow, maybe I should change career. Wow, maybe I've made mistakes here. Maybe I should have done that better. Oh no, I'm not doing life well enough. Like you know what I mean? Luteal phase just brings out all the thoughts. They're loud, they're busy, and yeah, that's where I'm at right now. But it's okay. It's temporary. It will pass. Ovulation will come round again, and we'll be slaying those dragons again. But yes, if like me, you're knee deep in luteal phase, just get yourself a pack of mini sausage rolls and just go to town. Just have a good time, settle in, put some Love Island on, and you're set. Oh, okay, right. So, this episode, I want to talk about Stonehenge. Okay, I want to talk about Summer Solstice at Stonehenge, because what an incredible experience. And I want to do like an overview of the entire, well, 2 days essentially, because I understand not many people have been to Stonehenge before, or you might have visited Stonehenge, but perhaps you've not been to celebrate the solstices or the equinoxes at Stonehenge. So I wanted to do this episode as like a real overview as to what happens, or the experience you're going to get, because I honestly think everyone should experience this at some point in their life. It's a real niche experience as well, because we don't often get to experience an atmosphere like that. It's not part of our day to day, it's not part of our norm, which I think makes it even more special. So the summer solstice usually falls on the 21st of June, or like 20th, 21st of June. And it symbolizes the longest day, the shortest night. And it often represents kind of like the peak of summer, which sometimes feels a bit naff in a way, because it's some ways in the UK it feels like, oh, summer's only just getting started. Don't tell me that we're already reaching the peak and it's like already the slow steady decline. But yeah, summer solstice is very much this vibrant time of year, and there's this real expansion, there's this tendency, there's this urge to maybe want to try new things, to step out your comfort zone a little bit. And me going to Stonehenge for the summer solstice was an absolute massive step out of my comfort zone. I think the reason why is because I had no idea what to expect. I just didn't know what was coming my way. I couldn't visualize it in my head. And the friends that I were going with, they were also saying it's very hard to describe. It's actually very hard to put into words what it actually is. So you just have to experience it. So, yes, maybe you have been feeling that kind of little tingle to maybe step out of your comfort zone. Maybe you go all in, maybe you go hard, go home, or maybe you keep it more subtle. It's entirely up to you. But yeah, embracing this time, this vibrancy, this sense of expansion, and just seeing where it takes you, because the opportunities, the places it can take you, perhaps you've not even thought of them yet. Perhaps that you've not even like imagined them yet. And I think that's beautiful. I think it's a really powerful time of year. And the summer solstice is one of the only times that you're able to go right up to the stones at Stonehenge. If you've been before to Stonehenge, maybe years and years ago, you were allowed to be up and amongst the stones, but now it's barricaded off, apart from the summer solstice, the winter solstice, and I believe the autumn and spring equinoxes as well. So literally 4 times a year is when you're able to go up to the stones. Now, my friends who I went with to the summer solstice, they have been going for a couple years now, I think, and they also go to the winter solstice sunrise there. They are seasoned Stonehenge attendees. So I felt like I was safe. I felt like I was with knowledgeable, safe, good people. And some of you might know Bex, who I went with, or I sometimes call her Rebecca, my cacao lady. She occasionally pops up on my stories when we've got a cacao ceremony, and it's always somewhat chaotic, but in the best way. So I went with her and her partner Dan, and one of their friends called Joanna as well. Basically, all this week in the run up to the summer solstice, I was like messaging Bex and Dan like a little lost lamb, being like, what do I need? What do I need to prepare? Like I have no idea what's going on here. And basically they were like my shepherds, just leading this wee little lamb. And I felt like I could have turned up just as myself with nothing else, and they would have been like, it's okay, we got you. They came in their van, so they had everything. They had a fridge with stocked full of supplies, layers, blankets, drums, rattles. They had everything. So literally I could have just showed up as myself and they would have been like, okay, cool, we'll roll with it. They were saying I was going to need a load of layers because you're up all night. And this was probably my first concern. It's been, I was going to say it's been a while since I've done an all-nighter, but actually I don't think I've ever done a true all-nighter. Maybe I've got close to it, maybe like a 5 a.m., 6 a.m. finisher, but I don't think I've ever done a true all-night situation. So I was somewhat concerned for my stamina. And I was then worried that I was maybe going to get like really like grumpy and grouchy because I've not slept, and then I didn't want to take that out on the people around me who have been so kind to invite me to this experience, and then was worried about like how cold it was going to get in the evening. And Bex was literally saying, you're going to want your full-on winter coat and you're going to want waterproofs. And at this point we are having a heat wave. And I was like, surely not. Surely I'm not going to want my full on winter coat. It's like 30 degrees outside. Obviously, at night, that probably drops like at least like half, like maybe like 16 degrees. But even that's the UK on a good day, you know? So surely 16 degrees at night isn't going to be that bad. So anyway, listen to what I was being told. I was like, I'm not going to be silly. Just do what you're told. So brought a couple winter coats and brought a cool bag of food, nibbles, layers upon layers, and just thought, sod it. Okay, let's go have an experience. And actually, one thing I haven't mentioned with another reason as to why I wanted to do this was because my original curiosity about this event actually came from my ex. Okay, it's something that my ex always wanted to do. His birthday is on the summer solstice on the 21st of June, and he had always said like, oh, one year I'd love to go to Stonehenge for summer solstice but also for my birthday. And I was always like, oh my God, yes, let's absolutely do that. But for some reason, in the years we were together, it never happened. So when I was invited to go, it was very much like, I feel like I've got to. I feel like I've got to do the things that I was once promised in a way, and show that I can do these things. It felt like another like little reclamation there, and again felt like an opportunity that I couldn't pass down, you know? So anyway, that's like just a little side note, another reason that pushed me to do this, that pushed me out of my comfort zone, and again embark on this little adventure. But anyway, got everything together and I was really confused at the timings because I was like, okay, what time do you think we'll be getting to the stones? She was like, probably around midnight. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm having to leave my flat at 6:30 in the evening and you think we're not going to get to the stones until midnight? What are we doing in all that time? What's happening here? Honestly, it was just baffling, but she's like, just roll with it. And I now understand she said midnight because it is a long ass queue to get to the stones. There's a queue of cars for miles on end. But to be fair to them, it does go quickly, and they're just trying to keep people moving into this field, and it is very well organized. And they, yeah, arrange the cars very, very well. They were pretty much bang on their timings because yes, we got to the Stones probably around midnight. Once you park up, you literally just gather the things that you want to have with you for the Stones, but leave everything else in the cars, in the vans. You only take with you what you think you're going to need from midnight up until 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. I was like panicking a little bit, like, oh God, like what if I need this? What if I need that? So pretty much I ended up bringing my whole bag. Bless Dan, shout out to Dan, offered to carry my bag for me numerous times, but because I am hella hyper independent and a strong independent woman, I was like, no, I will carry my own bag. Anyway, we get to the Stones. I have never seen Stonehenge before. I've like driven past it once, but I've never seen them. I've never been up close. So that in itself was beautiful. We found a little base camp, put blankets down, and then arranged our bags to look like a sleeping person so no one would disturb them. Bex grabbed her drum. I grabbed a rattle that Bex had kindly lent me. I also had these little rattle anklets on the top of my boots. So every time I took a step, it was like a little rattle. I feel like my own little percussion set. It was fantastic. In the center of the circle, there's this group of drummers who I don't think they know each other. It's not like a band that's pre-planned. It's just a selection of people that gather around the Stones with an instrument of some sort and just start playing. And it's just this rhythm, this endless rhythm that keeps you going, really. I honestly think if it wasn't for the drums, I would have just fallen asleep on the ground somewhere. You've got to be amongst the drums, you've got to be amongst it to really feel it. It's like this collective pulse. You just start moving with it, and like you start stepping to it, you start dancing to it. There's people going to the center of the circle as well. They're dancing, they're vibing, and people are cheering. There was a couple of people that would go to the center of the circle and dance, and it was incredible to witness because it just felt so free spirited and a real sense of community. Music just keeps you going. There was one moment where we left the main drum circle at the center of the Stones, because there's usually other drum circles like dotted around, and sometimes it's nice to get out of the center, have a bit of a breather. It does get quite warm, and we went back to our base camp for a little bit just to have some water, and we sat down very, very briefly, and Bex very quickly was like, come on, we need to get back up. We can't sit down for too long. Otherwise, we will just get really tired and we will just fall asleep. And I was like, yeah, I feel that. So she was absolutely right in the fact that she told me, like, you've got to keep going. You've got to just keep on your feet as best as you can. And you've just got to surrender to this collective pulse, this collective rhythm. Because if you sit for too long, you will just fall asleep and you'll end up missing the sunrise and it will all be a waste. So yeah, she was absolutely correct with that. So we picked ourselves back up, went to another drum circle. That was really vibey. The crowd slowly gathered around us, but there was a bit more space where you could kind of like dance and interact with others. What I found hilarious at this point is that there was this guy kind of right in front of me, right by my feet, who had completely passed out. I don't know whether he had taken something, no idea, or whether he was just that tired, but he's in the center of this drum circle, noisy AF, and he is dead to the world. There is no waking this guy up. Though, I mean, there were a few times where I had to just check to make sure his like ribs were moving, he was still breathing. He was like perfectly happy, perfectly content, and also like perfectly alive. But he was just in the center of the circle, just soaking up some of that rhythm, and maybe I don't know, the rhythm just lulled him to this sleep. I have no idea, but it was quite hilarious. Hours go by, and one of my aims to kind of get through the evening was just to not look at the time, was just to not kind of guess what time it is, and Yeah, the hours just slowly tick by. I think we were in that drum circle, that second drum circle, for maybe like an hour, maybe even more. We eventually got to this point. You can see that the sun is starting to rise. You can see that the sky is getting lighter and lighter. There was people coming up to us asking like, "Oh, where do you think the sun is going to rise?" And we're like, just look just look to where the sky is getting brighter. That kind of gives you a good guess that it's gonna be around there. Honestly baffling, but I suppose I give people a little bit of grace because, we've all been up all night. We're all somewhat delirious, somewhat feral. I had no idea what I looked like at this point. There's a professional photograph of me at this point, and my face, oh my god, it's horrendous. I look like I'm just holding on for dear life. But obviously the sun starts to rise, there's a bit of a cheer, bit of a whoop. Bex was a little bit disappointed, however, as it felt like people didn't make a lot of noise at that point. I suppose because she's done it multiple times now. She's been before where, people make a lot of noise and there's a lot more drumming going on. Whereas this year, she said there's a lot of people, perhaps the most people that have ever been, but for some reason there's less noise. More people, less noise was kind of like the phrase that was going around. But yeah, the sun rose. We then had a little cacao. That was so beautiful. I don't think I've ever witnessed like the sunrise in this way. And again, like another few hours just went by. So the sun rose at like 10 to 5 in the morning. And yeah, we had some cacao and then we got drumming again. You can get a bit more amongst the stones as the crowd kind of disperses a little bit. There's more photographers roaming around. BBC were there apparently doing like a little live, and apparently someone caught me in the back of like a BBC shot or something. Again, I have no idea what I was doing or what was happening at this point, but I was vibing. Then kick out is probably around like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. But again, you're just drumming the entire time. Like Bex and I were more on the outskirts, just vibing. Bex is quite hardcore with the solstice celebrations. She will keep going until they kick you out. She just goes and goes and goes. And I was just like, well, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna be part of this, if you're gonna join in on this, you've got to go all in. So I just joined her the entire time. I don't know where this energy came from, but I honestly think it was the drums. I think it was just this rhythm that just kept pushing me forwards, and the hours would just go. I couldn't actually believe it when they said, like, okay, time to head back to the cars. And then as you're heading back to the cars, what's funny is like it's almost like this sea of bodies where people have just like collapsed. They've just like stopped to have a bit of a rest and then ended up falling asleep. There's people sleeping outside of their cars as well, people setting up like little beds literally just on the earth. There's no tents, no one's camping or anything. People literally just drop where they are and sleep. It felt like there's no rules to this or anything. If you want to sleep there, you sleep there, you cuddle up, you tuck yourself in, you have a great few hours kip there. We had a little picnic kind of breakfast kind of vibe. I think we chilled there for maybe like an hour or so, maybe a little bit more, and that's where you start to feel the tiredness settle in. But we had this plan to go to Glastonbury to go to the White Springs, which again is another place that I've never been to, never explored, and part of me was thinking, oh, should I actually just go straight home because I've got a long journey back. I've been up all night. I don't want to use up whatever reserves I have left and then not be able to like make it home. So I was trying to like think ahead, but again, I just still wanted to just enjoy the experience. So yeah, we left Stonehenge. We started heading to Glastonbury. However, I was following Bex and Dan in front of me, and Dan was driving and he started getting quite tired. So we ended up stopping on the side of the road and having a little kip. I climbed into their van. They've got like a little daybed situation. So that's another thing I crossed off my bucket list, sleeping on the side of the road. Never done that before. I think it was probably about 45-minute kip. Kind of like just gave us just enough to then get to the White Springs. They are just glorious. And again, if you've never been to the White Springs before, it literally is a spring, natural water coming through, and There's the option to go for a little dip, but it is skinny dipping. So again, something else I crossed off my bucket list that I didn't know was on there. This was something that Bex had mentioned to me, there's potential to go to the White Springs, but it is skinny dipping. So like it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. Like if you don't, that's absolutely fine. And I was like, you know what? I'll decide on the day. I'll see how I feel. I suppose you don't have to go skinny dipping. There were people with maybe like little pants on or something, like little vest tops, or little pieces of clothing that just kept your modesty a little bit if you wanted to. It was obviously the hottest day of the year so far, and I was just like, I'm gonna have to get in. Like I didn't even ask twice. I was like, I'm getting in there. Like I I was so ready to feel this like cool water on my skin and recharge my batteries a little bit. So I think Bexwin and Dan were like exploring another part of the spring. It's almost like this cave, I suppose, and there's a feminine and masculine side. And they were exploring like the feminine side, what I think Bex called the womb or something, which freaked me out a little bit. I didn't really like that section. I don't know. There was the weird, like, heavy energy. There was a woman opposite us who was certainly going through something. She was going through a real big purge. She was crying a lot. And I don't know, there was this real, like, heaviness. I was like, I'm gonna go. So I left Bex and Dan there. And I was walking around the edge of the spring and I was just like, fuck it. I found a corner where I could put my stuff and the layers just came off. She was suddenly in a little birthday suit. Fuck it, we're going in. But again, it was the most refreshing, cooling experience I've ever felt, but like obviously a lot nicer than an ice bath. I've done an ice bath many a time now. This just felt so like healing on so many levels, and that might have just been the fact that I'd been up all night like dancing around Stonehenge, or maybe I don't know, it healed a part of my soul, no idea. But yeah, joyous. And then Bex and Dan shortly joined me and we're just having a vibey old time. Everyone's in the buff chatting away. I think we had a little sing song as well. Yeah, just really great vibes, and it was just so chilled. No one cares what you look like. No one's looking, really. You're just there to really kind of soak it all up. Probably by this point, it might have been like, I don't know, maybe like 2 o'clock. You've stopped at a coffee shop, but I was basically saying, like, look, I'm going to have to head off now because I feel myself flagging. And if I want to make it home, I'm going to have to leave now. So I waved goodbye to Bex and Dan and then made the long trek home, and somehow was able to do it in one go. Apart from, like, I had to stop like 15 minutes into my journey back just because I forgot to take my contact lenses out. And I'm not kidding you, this might be a bit too graphic, but I had to peel my lenses from my eyeballs, and I was like, there's no saving them. So they were like straight in the bin. Continued the rest of the drive home. Eventually got home, I think about 8 o'clock in the evening, opened my car door, went to step outside, and honestly, it's like my knees instantly gave way. Oh, it's like my body knew I was like nearly home, nearly back in my safe space. So my body was already starting to give up on me, but I'm like, no, come on, keep going, keep going. And then I arrived back and I eventually got everything out of my car. My car was an absolute bin by this point, but got everything out of my car. And I'm the kind of person that once I get home, I have to unpack, I have to get everything sorted, have to have everything back in its place. So again, I'm like, keep going, keep going, keep going. But it's almost like you've had this experience. And what do you mean I've now got to do chores? What do you mean I've now got to do laundry? What do you mean I've now got to tidy up? Like, no, I'd rather go back to the Stones and party a little bit longer, if I'm completely honest. But that would have been incredibly silly because we had class the next morning. So managed to get everything pretty much sorted. And obviously I needed to have a proper shower, but it was one of those showers where you put the plug hole in in the bath. So it's like a half shower, half bath, and you just, as the shower water's coming down, the bath just slowly fills up. So it's a shower into a bath, and if you've never done that before, again, highly recommend. Eventually poured myself into bed, and I think I laid there like a corpse and did not move a muscle until my alarm went off Sunday morning to wake me up for class. But I was also a little bit worried. I was like, what if this is the one and only time I sleep that heavily and I sleep through my alarm? But no, fortunately it was all fine. I made it to class the next morning, was definitely still feeling very tired, very exhausted. and I almost felt like there was still this rhythm of the drums still like pulsing through my veins. I literally feel like I'd left part of myself amongst the stones. And I was like missing the drums. I was like, I miss this rhythm. I miss this collective atmosphere, this mutual kind of understanding of where we are, what we're doing. Like, I've just come from this really niche experience, and that Sunday was pretty much a blur. I think I taught that class in the morning, and then my intention was to find a field and just lay down in it, which I did do for a little bit, but the wind was annoying, so I ended up coming home and just collapsing on my sofa instead. So yes, that's pretty much my summer solstice Stonehenge adventure. Now, a couple of the questions that I've been asked is whether I would recommend it. And honestly, hands down, I think I've already said this, I would absolutely recommend this to anyone who's remotely interested in anything like this. You don't have to celebrate paganism. You don't have to identify as any particular kind of culture or any kind of religion. Everyone's there just to witness the sunrise, and what a beautiful like phenomena that is, that every day the sun will rise, and it's rising on its longest day, the shortest night. And it's also that reminder that no matter how the days might be getting shorter from here on in, the sun will continue to rise each day. And it's that reminder that you will also rise each day in your own way. You will rise, you will take up space, you will step into the next thing, the next day, the next opportunity, whatever that has to offer. And it's like that light will always be there to guide you. Again, no matter how dark it seems, the light will always be there to guide you. So again, if you are remotely interested in that, you will have an amazing time for sure, for sure. But my advice, if you are going to do it, is let yourself fully surrender to it. I don't feel like you can kind of teeter on the edge. Some people have picnics, and I'm like, yeah, you absolutely can do. But if you are sitting down, you're likely to fall asleep. And I feel like actually part of the experience is that staying up all night and witnessing that turn from day to night, night to day. Because again, when else are you going to experience that? And what a beautiful place to experience that in. The energy that these stones hold. And it's one of the rare times that you're able to place your hands on the stones. Again, it's so unique in itself, and it's something to really treasure, I think. So yeah, if you're going to do it, go all in. Be prepared to be on your feet a lot. Be prepared to experience a lot of drumming, but with that, take an instrument if you can. Take a drum, take a little rattle, take a giant rattle if you want to. I had Bex's like wild woman rattle. She's like, 50 women have gone into this rattle, and I was like, what does that mean? Sometimes I actually should question what Bex is saying. She said, yes, 50 women have gone into creating this rattle. 50 women are inside this rattle. And I was like, what does that mean? Like, what did you do? Did you squish them in there? Are they okay? Do they need help? Do they require assistance? Are they all right? And then there's me like aggressively shaking this rattle for the majority of this evening. But yeah, as I say, if you're able to have an instrument of some sort, there were people with flutes, there was a saxophone there at some point, there was James with his big didgeridoo. It was all incredible, such an experience, and I absolutely would do it again. It's weird, as I was driving down to the Stones, we're in this long queue, I was thinking like, oh, maybe this is the one and only time. Maybe I'll be like satisfied with this. I can tick it off my list, job done. But now that it's happened, now that I've done it, I'm like, oh, I want to do that again. Absolutely. So if I can make it happen next year, I definitely will try. If I can make it happen over the winter solstice, I might even give that a go just to experience it at opposite ends of the year. I highly recommend it to anyone who's considering it. But yeah, be prepared. Bring all your layers, thermals, bring all your snacks, bring all your instruments, and bring all your energy, and just let yourself to surrender to this like collective pulse that's happening here. Yeah, Beautiful. So that was my adventure over the weekend. I feel like I'm somewhat still recovering. I think part of me is still soaking it up, but what a joyous way to celebrate the summer solstice. And I'm so pleased I can tick this off my list. And thank you so much to Bex and Dan. Big shout out to them for looking after me like the little lost lamb that I was, but for inviting me to this as well, for encouraging me to experience this as well, because if it wasn't for them inviting me, that I probably never would have gone. So yeah, I'm really, really grateful to them. They showed me the ropes, and yeah, I'd love to show some other people the ropes as well and invite other people to come down too. Maybe it's something that's now on your vision board, something on your bucket list. So if it is, make it happen as best you can. And if you've got any questions about it, let me know. Let's go seek out adventure. Let's try new things, because you never know where this little life of yours is going to take you. You'll never know the places that you're going to see, the people you are going to meet, only if you start saying yes. Saying yes can be such a powerful catalyst to experience an opportunity. So just embrace whatever opportunities come your way, because some of the most magical experiences happen in the most unlikely of places. And yeah, it's beautiful. All right, honeys, gonna wrap this up. Have a gorgeous rest of your day. I'll let you know whatever I end up going next, whatever adventures I end up going on. But yeah, I hope this inspires you some way. So if you are feeling the energy of the summer solstice and that little craving to try something new and step out your comfort zone, go do it. If you need someone to hype you up, I'm your gal. If you need someone to talk it through with, I'm your gal. If you need encouragement, if you need reassurance, if you need some ideas, I'm your gal. All right, honeys, go seek adventure, go thrive. Love ya, and see you next time. Mwah.